Good morning. We light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous people, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of surrender to divine love as the highest calling. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light a candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them, and for all faith traditions unnamed in this ceremony. This final candle is the healing candle. It represents the revealing of the divinity at the core of all experiences. This is your candle for whatever is in your mind and heart that requires the light.
Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, Greg. Let's take this opportunity to reflect upon the peace candle, which is this candle here, of course. We keep the peace candle consistently illuminated as a reflection of a consistent illumination of peace within our own hearts. And as we allow our inner peace to inform every aspect of our experience in this world, every relationship, every interaction, every thought, every prayer, then right where we are creating a world of peace. And so let us acknowledge that by sharing together this prayer for world peace. Divine love indwells each person and radiates from one to another. Harmony is established and peace reigns in the world. We've all been called to wake from sleep, to feel our power, to create the dream, to step out from the dark. Those lyrics hit me today. Those lyrics really hit me today. We've all been called to wake from sleep, to feel our power. We are, each and every one of us, infinitely empowered because we are the power of divinity in form. There's no separation. That's fundamental to our approach in understanding our spiritual nature in New Thought. And it is through that empowerment, it is through really deepening into feeling our power that we truly create the dream world I think many of us would like to experience. And I take that moment of hesitation because I think to myself, does that world exist now? I see one person nodding yes. I see two people nodding yes. I see three people nodding yes. The truth is that world does exist now. It exists right here and right now through the minds of each and every one of us. that right here and right now we are each awakened from that sleep. That we are understanding the innate empowerment at the core of all creation. We are stepping out from the dark. And we are shining our light of joy. Oh, I feel very different today. I don't know if you've noticed, I feel a little more subdued today. You know me, I'm usually bouncing off the walls, but I think there's something about, as we approach this time of the longest night, solstice is a week from today, actually. As we approach this time of the longest night, I'm really deep into kind of a sense of remembrance. Remembrance of light. That light is growing through the relative and seeming darkness that's all around us. And that is, a great metaphor that I've carried with me throughout my entire life, that I have really endeavored to embody within the notion of ministry and to share with the world, that we are, each and every one of us, the light unto the world. But we have to remember that. We have to remember that. So I said solstice is in a week, that we're experiencing this time where the light that we experience, and I get it, it's only in the northern hemisphere, where the light is seemingly diminishing. And as that light seemingly diminishes, it is a call for us to shine forth even brighter. This month's theme of vitality is akin to this infinite aliveness that we can all express and feel and be when we shine our inner light. And when we are shining that infinite light of vitality right where we are, in every interaction, in every moment of our lives, then we are inviting others into that same experience where they are emboldened into shining their own light. We are not a philosophy, we're not a spiritual philosophy that proselytizes in the traditional way. Because we're not out there, I did the joke last week, we're not out there on the street corner going, you are a sinner, no. In fact, if we were going to actually proselytize, I'd go out there and say, you are not a sinner. All of that jazz. But we proselytize in our own way. We proselytize in this manner. We proselytize by endeavoring to be the example and inviting other people to live from the point of view of that example. But we're not out there forcing people to try to do it. As I say each week, you get to believe what you want to believe. You get to think what you want to think. These are tenets that work for me, and so that's why I do what I do. But you get to decide how you're going to endeavor to live your own life. My recommendation is live it from a point of view of love and kindness and joy and harmony. And as you do that, you become the living embodiment, the living example of what we will refer to as divinity itself. And that is how we can fundamentally change the world. This is the Advent season in traditional Christianity, and of course, Unity has to do things differently because, why not? So, we have had we've so far had Faith and Hope as the first Sunday of Advent, and last week was Peace, and this week in traditional Christianity, this week would be Love. But no, Unity has decided that they're going to swap those two Sundays of Advent, and instead of doing Love this week, we're going to do what most traditional Christians do on the fourth Sunday of Advent, which is joy. So we're going to live in joy today, right? Joy, here's the thing about joy. Joy is a spiritual practice. It is a spiritual practice, a choice to participate in this thing called life. And if you want to experience more joy, here's what I recommend. Be the cause for joy in others. That's how you will come to experience more joy in your life. Now, here's the thing. Joy does not mean that we are denying that there are challenges in this world. What? No. Are we? Well, you don't have to raise your hand. This is a rhetorical question, just to be abundantly clear. But I imagine that there are some of us in this room who possibly are facing challenges. I face challenges. I face challenges in some manner every day, but I remind myself in the face of those challenges that they are seeming challenges. They are only challenges because I have given the energy of challenge to that experience. And if I am willing to turn my heart and mind around to not give the energy of challenge to a particular experience, if I allow myself to let that experience be awash with joy, guess what happens? I experience joy. So we're not here to deny that things are happening in the world. What we are here to do is to express what I will call spiritual denial, which is the things in the world have no bearing on the truth of my being. They have no bearing on my experience of joy. They have no bearing on my experience of happiness, and they have no bearing on my experience of kind interactions. And so how will I choose to lead the expression and experience of my life from that point of view today? Well, I'm going to choose to shine my light of joy. Challenges don't need to dominate our well-being. They just don't. But boy, we really let them, don't we? Sometimes, once in a while. I know nobody in this room, nobody online watching. Here's the other thing about joy that I love. Joy is a fuel. You know, I talk about the nature of feeling as the fuel in the creative process, and that prayer imbued with feeling is actually fundamentally creative and stronger in its creation than a prayer spoken out of rote, just devoid of feeling. That's not going to be creative. Joy, that fuel, that feeling of joy can fuel the creative process. It fuels our sense of vitality. It restores energy. It restores our own sense of courage in allowing ourselves to live in this thing called life. And it absolutely boosts the sense of creativity because we are here to be creative. And don't mistake me when I say creative, because it's not just about being artistic, although that is an expression of creativity. We are creating our lives in every single moment. That's the nature of creation. Everything that we experience is creation. And we are the creators of the creation collectively. Now, we often refer to, many traditions refer to God as the infinite creator. Yes, that's true. But we are the power and presence of God embodied as us, each and every one of us. So we are actively creating our lives. I know I started subdued, but boy, I'm getting ramped up today, aren't I? And so why would we ever withhold our light? Why would we ever withhold, in any sense, the notion of creativity? The season of light, the season of light. I think last year we really focused on light at the Christmas Eve service. It may happen again this year, I'm not entirely sure. But light, for me, is like I said before, it's such an important metaphor because we can very easily fall into dimming our light. Now, I want to acknowledge, there are many traditions that celebrate light. The Hindus celebrate Diwali, and, light is part of the Advent experience in many traditions. We don't have Advent candles up here, but traditionally there would be 4 candles, one for each week of Advent. And as you acknowledge what week of Advent it is, you light that particular candle. And if you notice, I've actually done this in my own unique way. So when we get to the life practice at the end of my message, you will note that the background image is actually Advent candles, and each week one more candle has been lit. I'm sure none of you noticed that, but it's my own little, way of acknowledging this tradition. But the other tradition that is very focused on light, of course, begins tonight, and that is Hanukkah. Hanukkah begins tonight. And, if you don't know the story of Hanukkah, I'll briefly explain to you what that is, how it came to be. It's basically a 2nd century BCE experience where a Hellenistic Greek king named Antiochus was seeking to impose Greek culture on Judea. And so he builds this altar to Zeus in the temple, the Judaic temple, right? And so he's basically desecrated the Jewish temple. And so the Maccabees revolt, right? The Maccabees revolt, and they revolt, they win, which, I don't like the language of competition so much personally, but that's what happens. They win, and they rededicate the temple, and part of the rededication is to light the oil so that it will burn every night throughout the night and shine light unto the world. They only had enough olive oil to burn for one night. But that amount of olive oil lasted 8 nights and gave them enough time to prepare more oil to light the world. So that's how the tradition of Hanukkah comes about. And so tonight begins the first of 8 nights of the Hanukkah experience for those in the Jewish tradition. And, there's actually corollaries to this idea of light that fall into the Christian scripture as well. Of course, you could consider that when Jesus says, "You are the light of the world," don't hide your light under a bushel. That is perhaps a direct reference to this very notion that light in and of itself, the expression and experience of light, is a miracle. That makes us all miracles. He also offered this. He said, the lamp of the body is the eye. The lamp of the body is the eye. If your eye is good, your whole body is full of light. Now, some people are going to probably go, what does that mean? If your eye is good, what does he mean by that? What he means is the manner in which you choose to see determines the goodness of your lamp, the eye. If your eye is good, if you choose to see the world from the point of view of light and love and kindness, your whole body will be full of light. So this begs the question that I offer you today. Actually, I always ask you lots of questions. How do you see the world? This is rhetorical. How do you see the world? Do you choose, and this is a choice, do you choose to see all people as divine, which is fundamental to the premise of New Thought? All expression is divine. That means all people that we encounter are divine, whether we like them or not. Everyone is worthy of love, even if we don't like them. Everyone is worthy of love. How do you choose to see the world? Do you choose to see people as divine? Do you endeavor or allow yourself to fall into any exceptions to that idea in how you choose to see the world? Do you make excuses for those that you don't like? Do you see anybody in your life, this is actually a big one, do you see anybody in your life as a victim? You see the circumstances of their life. Do you consider them in any way a victim? That may not be the highest ideal to hold for them in your own mind and heart. And there's actually an idea contrary to that. Do you see anyone in your life as perpetrators? Ooh. I could very easily look around the world and say, there's a perpetrator, there's a perpetrator, there's a perpetrator, there's a perpetrator. Just turn on the news. But the only reason I can perceive anyone as a perpetrator is if I allow myself to feel like a victim. I cannot be victimized in any fashion, in any way, unless I first perceive that I can look upon the world and see perpetrators out there. There are no perpetrators except those whom I allow to be perpetrators of ill will in my life. I am the one in charge of my life. You are the ones in charge of your life. It's a hard pill for some people to swallow because they may have been brought up in a philosophy that says it doesn't matter anything that's going on out there. I am saved. Well, I'm here to tell you, you are saved, but you are not saved through some belief in something outside the self. You are saved because you have a mind and can use it to think. The way that we achieve salvation is to think new thoughts. This philosophy is called New Thought. Imagine that. But you cannot be a victim unless you perceive perpetrators in your life. So let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Those kinds of things, the notion of making excuses, victims, perpetrator, all of that mindset, all of it are things which will dim your divine light and no one else's unless they're thinking that way as well. But I want us all to take responsibility for our own lives, our own experience and expression in this thing called life. Nothing can dim your light unless you allow your divine light to be dimmed. That's it. So our work is to look upon God as God. No excuses. Oh, no excuses whatsoever. It is all God. All of it. Even the fake poinsettias. And the electric candles, because we believe in safety here. It's all God. There can be nothing separate from the infinite, because then the infinite wouldn't be infinite, it would be finite. We cannot be separate from. It's all God. Look upon all creation as God. That's our call. That is our call. Today is a direct call to consciousness, to ring the bells. It's a wake-up call. That's what I'm really trying to engage us in, is a wake-up call for every single one of us to let go of any sense of limitation once and for all. Let's be done with it. Move beyond inherited fear. Move beyond old stories that we may be holding on to. And I'll tell you what, we hold on to old stories for one purpose and one purpose only, because on some level, fundamentally, we gain something by retelling that story. But the short-term gain is not worthy of the long-term loss by holding on to those old stories. The change that we seek in this thing called life is ours to impel into action. Peace and change begin as inner decisions. Peace and change begin as inner decisions rooted in inherent joy, which is an acknowledgement of our innate divinity. When we commit to this change, we can initiate a collective reality of peace on this plane. Peace is assured. We acknowledge that every single week when we talk about the peace candle. Peace is assured because we, each and every one of us, have peace at our core. But the call is to allow that peace, that light of peace, to shine forth into expression. And when we commit to this change, when we commit to peace, we initiate a collective reality of that very peace. Joy expressed, here's the great thing about joy expressed, it becomes a contagious energy. And I'll tell you, if you are expressing your joy, others around you will feel joyful. And they will have permission to express their own joy. I had a lot of joy that I experienced last night. I went to a show. This particular performer may not have crossed your algorithm on social media, but there's a woman who created this character, and it really took off during the COVID pandemic because, we're all in our houses, and a lot of performers are like, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to put my phone up and I'm going to just create content that I can share with the world. And she created this phenomenal character called Broadway Barbara. Aaron's like, I know about Broadway Barbara. She is a riot. Very adult humor. I just want to be really clear. Very adult humor. But she did a show here in Tucson last night, and I went and for an hour and a half, absolute nonstop bellyache laughing at this experience. So here's someone who is spreading joy, and that joy is being experienced contagiously by means of each and every person in that audience. And you know what? Now I get to bring that joy to you because I am in joy. Our authentic joy expressed turns inner conflict into creative possibility. Let joy ring as an act of spiritual defiance against the perception of discord that we see in the world, against the relative despair that we see in the world. Allow that joy to act as spiritual defiance. What better work could we do in this world? And so let me ask you this: where is your light ready to shine right now? Rhetorical. Where is your light ready to shine right now? And don't let your light seem small or fragile. Let it shine forth boldly into this world. What old story are you ready to release so joy can shine more freely in your life? And how can peace be chosen today in thought and through simple, vital action? Those are ideas I want to allow you to ruminate upon as we move through this holiday season, continue through it. And so finally, I want us all to ring the bell by being a living bell. To ring ourselves, sounding peace, sounding vitality, and allowing it to flow forth with deep expectancy by being a shining light of joy, peace, and blessings. You are magnificent. Here it comes, the 3 Advent candles that are lit this week, because this is our life practice. Each day, choose one small, unexpected act of kindness. Let it be a conscious way of shining joy into the moment. And notice how vitality and peace grow as that joy is shared. A lot of the New Thought philosophy is around allowing ourselves to activate a thought into action and then allowing ourselves to reflect upon what that thought combined with action is doing for us in the world. Each day, every single day, not just this week, but it's a life practice, so maybe for the rest of your life. Each day, choose one small, unexpected act of kindness and let it be a conscious way of shining joy into that moment. Notice how vitality and peace grow as that joy is shared. That is the life practice I'm offering this week.
Are you spiritual but not religious? Do you believe in unconditional love? Are you ready to create the life you know you deserve? Are you looking for an inclusive spiritual community? Do you want to discover how magnificent you really are? If you're looking for a spiritual path that's all about love, freedom of choice, and compassion,
we can't wait to meet you.
Unity of Tucson, Sundays at 9:15 a.m.